What's going on? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. Today I want to talk to you about SoFi. I want to go over some of the current data points and what just came out for stat purposes that could allude to another home run earnings right around the corner. Before I get into any of that, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And with that said, let's get right to it. So right now it is sitting at $8.99. As I mentioned in yesterday's video, it is going to struggle with that $9 mark. Even though it closed at, I think it was $8.98. It did struggle, and you can kind of even tell us heading into power hour, the market makers are going to tank this. And it's very unfortunate because a lot of the volume done today has been algorithmic trading. So big money hasn't necessarily been getting into SoFi as it once was. So these are all the transactions that have occurred on the secondary market above $100,000. So just looking right here, you can kind of see it is starting to take a little bit of a dip off of that $9 mark. So we'll just have to wait and see what does happen. But for instance, if it does and is able to close above $9, this is where you're going to see roughly around 25,000 in open interest at that $9 strike price get exercised. So that does mean market makers are going to have to cover that, whether it be either pre-market or during the trading day on Monday. So that'll give it a nice bump up in the stock price. And that's over and above the 22,000 in open interest at that 850 strike price. But all in all, this is very predictable. It's been happening time and time again, as I've been saying. So even more reason to make sure you guys hit that thumbs up, and even more reason why you guys need to do options. You can technically sell covered calls for these very strong resistance levels made by options, and that way you get some free money as far as options. But then again, what do I know? I'm not a financial advisor. You guys always do your own due diligence. When it comes to volume, 18.7 million shares being traded, 58.7 is the average. As of right now, the fear and greed index is starting to go down slightly from yesterday, the high of 79, but still regardless, it is under the extreme greed component. So most likely a lot of this positive momentum will roll over into next week. And as kind of indicated, next week, the options do look free and clear. So that might be the week essentially for SoFi to trend up. Shorts though. Shorts are definitely one of those X factor scenarios with SoFi today. So they're increasing 563,000 shares. 17.34% of the free float is being shorted, and that works out to be 158.25 million shares overall are being shorted. Utilization is 50.67%, and cost to borrow average is 0.88%, so very low. And as I've indicated, I'm just bringing this up as more of a benchmark. I definitely do not see SoFi being a short squeeze play by any means, unless something substantial happens. But even if that does happen, like if a surprise catalyst, for instance, comes out, just the data doesn't really match that. And just looking at shorts, like shorts have been in control of SoFi over the last little bit. They've been able to kind of strategically move it where they kind of benefit most. And again, that kind of is linked to options and many other things. Today, there was no new analyst ratings, nothing like that, no 13Gs or any amendments to any ownership claims. So this has kind of been the last of it. So as of right now, Vanguard does still own a substantial amount in SoFi, 8.32% overall. So all in all, SoFi is definitely going to be a big force to be reckoned with. This is why you do have a lot of the bigger names in SoFi. But again, it's just more so a waiting game. But it's going to be a fun waiting game, I guess, if you want to consider it that way. And I just wanted to briefly bring this up because a lot of people like to look at web traffic and correlate that with member growth. And to be fully fair, it's actually worked. So SoFi's member growth has been astronomical over the last little bit. And so looking at web traffic is a good indication. As of December, there was, I think, 15 million in monthly volume. And in January, there was 16.3 million. So a still very big increase. And plus, looking right here, the average visit is 5 minutes and 16 cents. And so just engagement is going up within SoFi. So that does insinuate member growth. Of course, we'll just have to wait and see, but I think it's fair to assume even throughout 2024, quarters 1 through 4, member growth is going to continue to go up. But that's just my own interpretation of that. Looking at the current options right now, $4.99 million in calls being purchased versus 938,000 in puts. Sentiment wise, 48% of all the options being done today are optimistic, but most likely a lot of that is correlated with shorts covering and hedging with call options. So that could be happening behind the scenes. As of right now, of the call options that are being purchased, there's a consensus for it to be above $9 or even $9.50 by the end of next week. And looking at puts, there's an anticipation for it to be sub roughly around $8.50 to $9. So risk versus reward is definitely very much there, and there is a lot more optimism going into next week. Just right now, there's a little bit of a constraint right now. Aside from that though, with it currently sitting at $8.98, it's kind of just wedge bound between this pivot and this, I guess, artificially made resistance point done by options. And then aside from that, $8.86 and $8.78. And coincidentally, it bounced off of this S2, so you do know that's a very strong support. As far as the technicals though, you can tell SoFi does want to break out. It just needs a nice little push off the cliff essentially. So it needs a push for it to trend higher because it is higher percentile of the Bollinger Band and above both the 50 and 100-day moving averages. Stochastic though, you do see as of today the start of a bearish deviation, so red line above the white. And even aside from that, stochastic is at 80, so that is considered overbought. So if there's some sign of weakness, whether it be coming from SoFi or the broader market, you might see a tentative sell-off. And again, that could be healthy for the technicals bigger picture, but for those of you that are day trading, might not necessarily like that. A number of retail investors have been getting out as of today as well. So all in all, kind of anticipated. This was all expected stuff, as I've been saying over the last couple of videos. So yeah, let me know your thoughts on SoFi. Have you been buying? Have you been selling? What have you been doing with SoFi? And with all that, I appreciate all of you watching. Don't forget to stay tuned for my video this upcoming weekend on some expectations for the upcoming week, because that's where I go over what might influence the price, and this is kind of where I talk on options and everything else. So make sure you guys hit that thumbs up, and with that, I appreciate all of you watching.